What's going on, family? I'm gonna do a quick little video on obedience over unwanted sacrifices real quick. And I'm gonna just be diving into a couple scriptures just to relate and just to get it across that the Lord wants obedience, not unwanted sacrifices. And we're gonna start off with John 10:10. I don't know if y'all can see it, but for those who don't know, that scripture states that the enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy. I started us off with that because ultimately the devil wants us to think that these unwanted sacrifices that we're presenting to the Lord is better than simple obedience to the Lord. And that is completely wrong. And that's how the devil ends up robbing you of the blessings that the Lord has for you. That's how the devil ends up intervening and putting his foot in places where it never had to be, because we failed to ourselves and started to do things that the Lord never asked. For instance, Cain and Abel. When it comes to the offerings that they presented, Cain's offering wasn't as good as Abel's offering, and Cain felt the way and killed Abel. Well, ultimately, Abel brought an offering that met the criteria of God's standards, while Cain brought an offering that didn't meet his criteria. Cain just gave an offering. It wasn't his best offering. The scriptures state that Abel had brought God his best offering, best portion. You know what I'm saying? It says that Cain brought some fruit. So in that situation, is these unwanted offerings just they're not going to satisfy God. You feel what I'm saying? And we can go to the father of faith of Abraham. God told him to offer his son. You know, Genesis 22. God told him to put his son on the altar. Now, how many people do you know would, hearing the audible voice of God, first and foremost, hear the audible voice of God to tell you to sacrifice your son and do it and not call God a demon? Because that's crazy to hear ultimately off the flat. Like, offer up my son? It's like, that's the type of fear that we need to have when it comes to our faith in God, is that you might have to do some things that you might not want to. You might have to do some things that might not even make sense. But that discernment, and if you are in your word, if you are close to him and you hear his voice and he tells you to do it, we must know that there's a reason. There's a reason, and it must be done.